So yeah, I didn't finish Skin of a Ring, but I definitely think I get it why people don't get it. I think that's the best way to explain my experience with Skin of a Ring. I get it why people don't get it.
Is it like the Danny DeVito meme where he goes, "I get it"?
Yeah,
Is
a
that
little
it?
bit. I get a bit.
Well, okay. Do you want to talk really quick about the 50 minutes you watched of the movie and what you think about it?
I think a good stopping point is all the way up until the hand comes out of the dark. That's where I pretty much finished.
Holy shit, that stinks. Oh my god, you could bottle it up and make it like a biological weapon. That's like
God damn
mustard
it.
gas.
I hope it wasn't on the audio.
There's no wind in here. The only wind is
Oh,
I broke.
fuck!
Uh, oh my god.
What happened?
Chandler just farted. It's so fucking bad. Jesus fucking Christ.
It's not that bad.
Oh my god. I tasted it, Chandler. What the fuck? Alright, we got the fan from the oven going and we opened the back door. All right.
Dramatic ass bitch. Unfortunately for you, I'm your host, and with me is my beautiful and confident friend.
Slug.
Yeah,
Go fuck yourself.
that's his name. Hey, today we got a real spicy episode for you, brought to you by Spicy Kraken Rum. Not sponsored, would love to be.
Okay, here we go. Give it to me.
94 proof. Why not 95? Bunch of pussies.
We got limits here, alright?
Limits.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
in
they're
the
meant to be
States.
broken.
We're in the States. Alright, there's limits in the States.
That was a free country.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America. I'm sorry, I thought this was America. Is the hands down the best Randy Marsh moment ever. Fuck the COVID episodes. Trinity Farms? The series, the streaming wars. Fuck all that bullshit.
I don't know. The new episode when Stan and Tolkien are playing 40K and it's spring break and he thinks that 40K is this cool thing and then he realizes it's just some fucking nerd game. He's like, we gotta get bitches over here. We what t-shirts and mud wrestling. What the fuck is this? God, one day we'll play 40K. Like a real
Okay.
What-
Just gonna
what-
go ahead
Oh, shit. What are we toasting to?
to the end of Bat Dad.
Fuck it, whatever. Yeah, sure. Clean.
Yeah. A little sizzle, but it's clean.
I wish it was colder out. Keep us warm.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was fucking $30.
You didn't even get ID'd for buying half a gallon of fucking spiced rum.
I mean, neither did you.
Well, I was buying Jack Daniels and White Whitney or whatever.
This is a weapon.
It is. It's a half a gallon of spiced rum. You would have been killed over this by pirates. It literally
I'm
says
the
Kraken.
pirate. Look at me. I'm the pirate. I do the killing. I drink the rum. I'm
Okay.
keeping the tradition alive.
You're the rum guy. I'm the whiskey guy.
Someone's got to do it. I just thought that was funny. I walk in there with grease splatters all over my shirt. I don't know where the hell it came from. I'm walking up, there's a dirty ass shirt. I'm disheveled looking. I look like a hobo. And bro didn't even ID me. I look scary. I look dangerous.
You look like your card would decline.
It looks like I don't have a card. It looks like I'm the kind of guy to grab and run.
No, you're the type of guy that would put hands full of cash. Not like nicely folded together, just crunkled up like a handful of dollars.
I mean, that's essentially my old boss from the music school. He'd come in this rickety ass trailer that was falling apart. It was literally like nailed together with pieces of wood and 2x4s. He'd come in with holes in his jeans and his underwear showing. And the motherfucker lived in a mansion. It was one of the richest, nicest houses I've ever seen. And I used to like clean his pool and stuff and do his pine straw. The guy lived lavishly. All his wife did was sit around the house watching tennis all day. And this guy was out busting his ass in like penny loafers and shit. It was something to see. We're going to backtrack a bit because
I brought it up.
we are a little late. We should have recorded this last week, but we're not busy people. But things happen, things get in the way, and soon enough, it's like 4 in the morning, and it's like, yeah, I don't think we're gonna record tonight.
I was so ready, bro. I was hyped up. I had some Red Bull. I took a shower.
So did I.
Coming
And I
back
crashed
from a
early.
fucking Vader show that was fucking kick ass.
Oh, you're gonna talk about it too, right?
Yeah.
You want to get into that now?
No, we gotta do some introductions. We gotta catch up.
Oh,
Catch up
okay.
with the people.
There's a timeline here. There's a chronology. We got to follow it.
Yeah. Nightmare is a fucking rabbit. Suck my fat cock, alright?
The artist they commissioned doesn't know what the fuck he was doing when he got the memo. He's a 4-eyed cat, not a 6-eyed rabbit. Where do you even get 6 eyes from? You don't even watch fucking Nightmare. You call yourself a furry? You're a poser.
I'm not a
You're
fucking
a poser.
furry. You're a fucking furry.
Damn straight.
We got him. We got him. We got him. We got him on clip.
Wait. It's recording?
We got him. We got him. We got him.
Okay, guys, I just want to say, late April Fools, I'm not a furry, closeted or otherwise. I'm a simple podcast host. Talk about horror movies.
So, guys, we fixed the technical difficulties. The clip at the very beginning of us talking was supposed to be for the April 2nd episode that never came out. We were able to get that first bit, and then after that, just fucking shit. I'm sorry, guys. It just the equipment just went kaput on us.
Yeah, so now we're using Slug's laptop, and the Den of Sin has moved locations. If you've seen the new promo video on our YouTube channel, which is out, by the way, same name as the podcast, look it up. You'll see the promo for this episode, which is kind of redundant because they're already watching this or listening to this.
Yeah.
And for future reference, we have a YouTube channel. Check it out if you don't want to listen to us on Spotify. So let's review what we've been up to. Catch people up on our very interesting lives.
So, I think I want to start with talking about the Vader show. It was a fucking phenomenal show. It was a really fun experience for somebody who was born in 2000 to even get the chance to experience a legacy death metal band like that. And it's very rare. I've been lucky enough for a few shows to feel like, holy shit, this feels like the 80s. And Vader was one of them. Oh my god, the death, as a black metal guy, I will say fucking that was a kick-ass death metal show, not going to lie.
Yeah, we've been to a few shows together. I didn't go to the Vader show, but we've been to a few shows together where it's just like, this is just the 80s, dude.
The Creator show.
It's kind of like, that's the appeal of this music, personally, is it's a time capsule that takes you back to a time we never knew. And it's really cool. Everyone's decked out in leather and denim and everything. And everyone's smoking and drinking.
I'm with my people.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Den of Sin. This is just a microcosm of that type of atmosphere. Where'd you see him? Was it Masquerade?
Masquerade? Yeah, the Masquerade.
Oh, you had to consult your sources?
Yeah, I got to talk to my Jeremy.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, she's here.
Yeah. Just the energy, the pit, and the aesthetic of these old metal guys are just why I still love going out to shows. I mean, again, I wouldn't be there if it wasn't for them, you know.
Right.
I definitely see that, like, early on in my listening to metal, obviously I started with the first metal band I heard that made me go like, hold on, wait a minute, is Municipal Waste. And I got to see them again. We'll get to it in a minute.
Yeah, we've been real busy. Slug in
Yeah.
particular.
Yeah, I got some news also today. After Municipal Waste, I was like, hold up, wait a minute. And I was going back to the Unholy Trinity.
The Unholy Trinity.
You okay?
Yeah,
What's wrong, Willow?
nothing.
Is something funny?
No, I'm just listening and I find it interesting what Slug is saying.
You were there.
Yeah.
You could chip in and talk about your experience as well if you'd like.
At the Vader show, you want go ahead.
Well, black metal isn't my first favorite metal, but it was a pretty fun show overall. I had a good time. I woke up the next morning with my neck feeling really sore, but to be fair, that was just because I just couldn't stop my head banging. And I don't think I was also doing it properly, so that was also another source to it. Overall, it was pretty cool, especially because we didn't think that we were going to see Vader, but I was like, haha, psych, we're going to go see him. Yeet, yeet.
Thank you, baby.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I think I said on the podcast before, after listening to Minutes of a Waste's Art of Partying, I went back to listen to Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, and Black Sabbath, and made my way up to New Wave of British Heavy Metal, to the early days of thrash metal, and I dipped my toes into death metal for a little bit before I found black metal.
What a crazy journey.
But obviously, Death and Possessed being contested back and forth of who invented death metal. They're both equally good. Come on, guys. But Vader was one of the first ones I started listening to, and it kind of set the standard for death metal for me. And I guess I was just like when I found Vader and Death, and then eventually here's like before we even get to the part that's the episode that's actually going to be controversial, I'm going to put some controversy right here. 6 Feet Under is my favorite death metal band.
That's an opinion, though. Can it be controversial?
It is because of Chris Barnes. People fucking hate him, and I'm the only, like, literally I see that I'm like the only person who's like, I think his vocals are great. I think his vocals in the early days of Cannibal Corpse are better than Corpse Grinder, but that's just me. But Vader really set the standard of death metal for me.
Wait, speaking of death metal, real quick, with Death and Possessed, was it them that's like one album came out like a month before the other?
So it just like with what I was telling you when we saw Exodus. Exodus put out the first thrash metal demo, and Metallica put out the first thrash metal studio album. Possessed put out the first death metal demo, and Death put out the first studio album.
Okay, it was all like almost at the same time.
Yeah,
roughly.
Those in terms of Possessed and Death, it was a couple of months, but with Exodus, it was almost 2 years before Kill 'Em All came out.
They just don't get the credit.
They don't, but I'm still grateful we got to see them. That was a fucking phenomenal show.
The Exodus show?
Yeah.
Wow. Like, there wasn't a place there. There wasn't a
safe
like
place.
An inch. There wasn't an inch of ground that wasn't part of the pit. If you're in that building, under that ceiling, you're in the pit.
Yes. When you have a show called The Bass Strikes Back, and you've got the extended of the Big Four, not including Overkill because they're from New York, but Exodus, Death Angel, and Testament.
Stack, man. I think it's probably the most loaded show we've ever seen.
I don't know. Midnight Creator and Merciful Fate.
You know what? I'll give it to you. Because Merciful Fate's theatrics, man. Second to none. Second to none.
But Vader, I don't know who's listening, like where in the States they are, but if they're still doing their North American tour, I highly recommend seeing them. They, you won't regret it, especially them being from Europe. They, it's sad. A lot of old bands don't really come to the States anymore. They'll just go to where they know that, like, yeah, we'll get good booking and stuff. That's why, like, Scorpion and a bunch of the older rock bands go to South America and skip over north.
Right.
Yeah, I'd love to see Scorpions.
Well, I mean, they have like fucking 40 albums, dude. I've never seen a band with so many albums. But honestly, yeah. Like when it comes to older bands, especially metal, it's like in rock and roll, when you're over there in Europe or you're in the Americas, doesn't matter where you are, you always dream of going abroad, taking your music to an international audience, because that's how you know you've made it. When you can go play a venue on the other side of the world and they're still chanting your name.
Yeah.
It breaks the language barrier. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are. It's like you're known internationally. That's how you know you made it. But once you start playing those shows for a number of years, it's like that mystique wears off, and it's like you've made it.
Right.
Now it's like I don't have to play those shows anymore and just keep it local because I don't have to anymore.
Right.
My records are selling over there. I've made it. I don't have to reach them anymore.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's the real reason, like 20, 30 years later, they don't really have to focus on booking those kind of tours anymore.
Right.
Especially as the older they get, and they don't want to do that type of stuff. That kind of traveling.
I just want to see Mickey D, man.
Yeah?
It's Animal's gone. Fast Eddie's gone. God, what's his name?
What's the name?
Weasel. Weasel's gone. But we have Campbell and Mickey D left from them. Well, we also have Fox, Lucas Fox, the original Motorhead drummer, but they fired him before the first album because he couldn't keep up, which I really enjoyed. I don't know if our listeners know about the Official Motorhead podcast, but this is Slug's plug. Check out the Motorhead podcast because they got tons of good people on there, not just other musicians, but Lemmy's best friend,
right?
His
personal intimates and stuff,
personal assistants, collectors, his own bootmaker. It was really interesting stories. But they had Lucas Fox on there, and to sum it up, my favorite bit from his interview was like himself joking about. He's like, "Yeah, Lemmy got fired from Hawkwind because he did Speed." And Lucas Fox got fired from Motorhead because he didn't do enough speed.
Just can't win. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. But if you want to blame somebody for Lemmy's addiction to speed, Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Because he was a roadie for him, and that's what.
He started being a roadie because he didn't do drugs.
Right, exactly. And then Jimmy would send him on little missions to go fetch him some speed. It comes with the territory, And think about it, if he didn't do that for Jimmy, who knows? We wouldn't have Motorhead today.
Yeah.
Thank God for drugs. For Lemmy, right?
For Lemmy.
Let me see. Let's toast.
Oh, my God. Your half gallon of Kraken.
Lemmy's the only guy that drugs couldn't win against.
No. R.I.P. Lemmy.
It took Elvis. It took fucking Heath Ledger. Speaking of Batman, isn't Lucas Fox a Batman character too? Is that the guy that sells Bruce Wayne all the gadgets and shit? I don't know. I'm not barely a comic guy. I think Lucas Fox is a Batman character.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, sure. I think Morgan Freeman. Yeah,
Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman played him in the Christian Bale movies. Yeah, but what else happened after the Vader show? Because it was just a stacked week, man. It was just like boom, 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 boom. What was after the Vader show?
When did we see them? So that bit we recorded was April 2nd, as I said.
If I take your lighter,
go ahead.
Okay,
it's your lighter.
Oh yeah,
mine's downstairs. My white lighter.
I smoked both ends. Oh, that's fine.
I don't know how to. You're the cigar guy. You should know these things, but
blame it on the Kraken.
We'll just if we remember something, we'll mention it. But I think I want to talk about the Municipal Waste show.
Yeah, go straight for it.
As everybody knows, I can't stop talking about them, considering
you got that right. Holy shit!
They're the band that got me into thrash metal and metal period, and their bass player Phil Landfill is a big inspiration to me in terms of playing metal bass. The show was phenomenal. So we had Creeping Death, Sacred Reich, Municipal Waste, and Carcass, the godfathers of grindcore.
It's pretty stacked, but most people probably not so much.
Yeah,
we know those people, but for most, maybe.
Creeping Death is from Texas. They're a deathcore, metalcore death metal kind of thing, which I don't know if I've said it, but the core metals don't really do it for me. I like the early Earth Crisis, like pre 2000s metalcore stuff, but it's really not for me. But then we got Secret Reich, which is an '80s legacy thrash metal band, with their hits "American Way." That was amazing live. That was
Did
amazing.
the crowd go wild for that one?
Oh yeah, oh
You
yeah,
get crazy?
yeah. There's the fun part about at least Sacred Reich and Carcass, because they're older, but no matter how heavy or how this quote unquote disturbing their lyrics might be, at this point in their career, they look like a bunch of dads because they are.
Are they wearing like khakis and stuff?
Well, no, they just kind of give off those good, like, cool dad vibes. You know what I mean?
Just having a good time.
Yeah, they're having
Bunch
a
of
good-
middle-aged men on stage.
Yeah,
you
a
know.
little older than middle age.
Are they like in their 60s now?
Some of them, yeah.
Damn. Crazy.
But yeah, there was a good pit. Crowd surfing was nice.
Willow, you crowd surfed for the very first time. How was that experience? Relay it for our audience.
It was pretty nice. It was very scary because I've already seen a lot of people get dropped at the show, but when I had to ask Slug and another friend of ours that we've like seen at a couple of the shows named Brian, shout out to you, Brian.
Whoop whoop.
They both helped me up, and it was just pretty easy from there. Like everyone else just helped drag me to the front where security was just waiting to help me get down and patted me on the head. It was like, good job. And then I ran back to Alex and Brian. But overall, I mean, it was fine. I felt super, super light, like as light as a feather, almost. Because it was just easy. It was so easy compared to like when Alex was telling me the story about how James got dropped on his head.
At
First.
Carnifex.
Yeah, so I was like, oh man, the same thing's going to happen to me, but then it didn't happen. I'm like, I want to do it again, but I didn't want to push it, you know?
She crowd surfed for Carcass.
Is that the only one? You just one time, right?
I thought about going to the back to crowd surf for Municipal Waste. The only thing is I didn't want them to see. I didn't want the main singer to see me at all. Like I already
Yeah, we
had.
don't have to. You don't have to talk
Oh,
about
yeah.
it. It's
I mean, it's okay.
it's not bad. He didn't say anything terrible. It just made.
I mean, you can tell them it's fine.
So
Story time.
story time during Municipal Waste set at their song. Me and Willow were yelling for Phil, telling like I was saying, "We love you, Phil," and she said that I love bass players. And then I think Ryan Waste is the singer. I could fact check me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure either the guitar player with the bandana or the singer is called Ryan Waste. But Ryan, the singer said, "What? What did you say?" And she said, "I love bass players." Repeating it, and then he's like, "So you're on your period? Good for you."
I mean-
That's not what I said, but you know, he had already started talking again, and I was just like, I there's nothing I can do. I just have to accept fate.
I'd like to think that he knew what you said.
yeah,
He
I
knew what
hope
you
just
said.
having fun with you.
I really hope.
Yeah, yeah. He's like a heckler with a comedian. It's like, of course they're gonna
God.
come up with something humorous to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's like also she was saying that it might be just a jab, like to the stereotype of bass players. Nobody gives credit to the bass player, and then the moment somebody tries to just shoot.
Yeah, shoot, fly, shoot. Don't bother me.
Municipal. What?
Let me ask you something. Why do you think that a lot of the time bass players don't get recognition?
Because we're not guitar players.
But guitar players kind of suck. No offense, Chandler.
I'm not a guitar player.
No offense, Chris. No offense, anyone else that plays guitar. But like, maybe it's just the stereotype that I'm following. Because it's like not all guitar players are the same, but there's still that basic guitar player attitude where they think they're all high and mighty. They think they're better than everyone. It's like that's not likable.
I think rhythm guitar players are more cool.
Yeah.
Lead guitar players definitely have egos.
Of course they do.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, rhythm is all about in service to the music. The thing about lead guitarists is they're given authority to take over the music and make it their own. They literally look at what's written on the page and be like, okay, add to it, make it better. So of course they're gonna think of themselves as all high and mighty. With bass players, if I were to jump in and add anything, I would say it's because they're not even the rhythm. The rhythm is on service to the music, but you're like underneath that servicing the rhythm. But all things are built on top of the rhythm. So it's like when you look at a nicely built house, no one gives a shit about the crawl space underneath, you know,
or the
foundation of the home itself. It's like all the piping, all the inner workings. No one cares about that. Just like that's a really nice house, despite the fact there's a really well built foundation holding it all together. Same can be said for drummers. Yeah, but it's like they see a bass player and they're like, why aren't you the guitarist instead?
Yeah, why? You need more strings. I've been told that too.
As a guy who plays a 4-string banjo, yeah, I get
you
a lot
have half a string.
Yeah, I have half a string still, but it's like, where's the rest of it?
Yeah, I don't know. I've only had one really bad experience, and I've said it before, but I'll say it again. So me, Chris, and our old drummer, we're leaving a show. It was either the Circle Jerk show or the Queers show.
That was a strip club.
That's where we're going.
Oh, my
That's
bad.
we were on our way to that, but we were leaving. I think the Circle Jerk show or something, and we were on our way there. And so this is Athens, and for the people that don't know, that's where UGA is, University of Georgia.
Bunch of preppy assholes over there.
Bunch of frat
white
boys,
kids,
frat boys, and a bunch of drunk girls. So this gaggle of drunk girls, come up to us, and we're like, "Hey, are you guys in a band?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I sing and play bass. This is Chris. He plays guitar and sings, and that's our drummer." And she posts up a high five for Chris and our old drummer, and then walks away.
Just might as well have slapped you with that hand.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter that I sing and primarily sing most of the songs at the moment.
It's literally your
play
band.
Bass. Yeah,
you founded the band.
I'm literally the only lasting founding member. I'm sitting right now to the original guitar player.
Hey, that's me.
But yeah, as the only member left, and I'm the bass player. But it doesn't matter it doesn't even matter that I sing. They just hear bass and then they're like not interested whatsoever.
They tune out. Yeah.
I don't know. I think the whole thing is stupid, but me saying it is kind of biased, being a bass player. But moral of the story is, bass players need more credit than they get, considering that. I mean, yes, we tend to be more quiet and more reserved, but that's mostly because we got to stay tight with the drummer. We're not worried about theatrics or trying to change anything to make it interesting. I mean, yeah, we can. We go off onto a solo if the guitar player lets us.
Exactly, if he lets you. No wonder they have egos.
Yeah.
Well, is it like this? Is it like bassists are like the Air Force, and then guitarists, especially lead guitarists, are like the Marines? Think about it. Like airmen, like just don't get the credit they deserve. They don't get respect. They're seen as a bunch of pussies, and they're like, out of the core four. I'm not including Space Force. I'm sorry. I know you want to fuck aliens, but
I tried signing up. They said I needed a couple degrees or something.
Yeah, but it's like airmen. They're usually the most intelligent. You know, they're very important. But then you get to the Marines. It's like they know they're the shit. Going in before they even finish boot camp, they all have a stick up their ass, dude. They're all a bunch of hard asses. It's like that.
Yeah, but
undeservedly so.
I will say that I think the time I saw Municipal Waste with the Circle Jerks was better because it was a more intimate crowd. And if you look it up, you could find footage of me shirtless stage diving right next to Keith Morrison on YouTube. But I mean, that might be a reason why I enjoy that show more. But
it gave you exposure because you're the one jackass.
No, I was not the one jackass. There was like 5 or 6 other people stage diving.
Oh, okay.
But Chris just told me, "Hey, I'll buy you a beer if you stage dive," and I was say less.
You don't have to buy me a beer.
I was on stage with Keith fucking Morrison, you know. But more importantly, the show was more intimate because it was a smaller venue. I think it was. I don't think it was 40 watt, but it was one of the venues up in Athens. It was real small. It was about the same size as Purgatory.
Was
it
Was it the Mockingbird?
That's where we saw Cancer Slug and Macon.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a different time.
There's so many different shows, man. It's hard to keep up.
But yeah, the intimacy of it, how close you are to the musicians, and there's more of like a connection there rather than having like a barrier in front of you, a foot, and then there's the big stage where all the musicians are like so stacked out. I was thinking, I was telling her, I love footage of Venom and Motorhead playing Hammersmith because it's this huge auditorium where like orchestras play and stuff. And there's just three dudes on stage. One mic to the left, far left. There's a mic to the far right, and there's just beautiful shots of like the stage being so empty except for Kronos, Mantis, and then the drums kit in the far back of the stage with Mantis. What's the word? Elevated, yeah. But just in comparison to the just three guys on a huge stage that was supposed to be for an orchestra.
So how did the sound travel?
For the Masquerade.
Yeah, like how for you? Like how did it travel?
I mean, it's set up pretty well. I mean, like it really won't affect the sound too much. It's just my point is the experience itself is the Circle Jerks was more intimate than the Carcass show.
Right.
Municipal Waste, always a fucking killer time. West Virginia, I hate this term, but this is how people categorize it these days. Neo thrash metal, because they weren't there in the 80s, so we gotta call it something else.
Yeah, but if they play it the exact same way, neo implies that it's a little different. Like there's something new about it.
The new thrash metal kind of revolves around. I mean, you can see some of the inspiration from Megadeth stuff, talking about war, not war in the sense of Sabaton, but nuclear holocaust and stuff. I mean, that's why we got bands called Gamma Bomb and Toxic Holocaust.
Toxic Holocaust is pretty good.
Yes,
yeah, they're pretty good.
I'm hoping to see them come in July. July, right? July with their opening for Havoc, which is another good band.
Yeah, that's a pretty good show.
They have more presence on. Okay. So, drinking, partying, and nuclear holocaust. Those are the main three topics.
Surprisingly, they go together really well.
Yeah. I mean, given the take that one of their albums is called "The Art of Partying," I think you can see what direction Municipal Waste goes into. But yeah, they have a few songs about hazardous material and toxic waste and nuclear stuff.
You think it would lead more into like some sci-fi, like B-movie shit?
I mean, Toxic Holocaust does a little bit.
Yeah, but I wish it kind of leaned into it more. But then at that point, it's just horror
Horror. Like what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, just with more radiation.
Yeah, writing a song about Fallout. But Municipal Waste is always really good. The energy, everybody's not only just super friendly, but everybody's so energetic and loving all the songs. So they played Sadistic Magician, but they did not play Art of Partying, and that's part of the reason why I like the Circle Jerks show more, because they did Art of Partying.
Who opened?
Creeping Death.
I just remember you're like, what I love is that you won't say something's bad or anything. You'll just be like, it doesn't mesh with me. Like, it's not my vibe. And so you came outside to have a smoke and call me up. We chatted for a minute, but it was just funny because, like, I don't think that's ever happened. You just walked out of an opening act because you're like, it's not my jam. I respect that.
Yeah, I mean, it happened one other time with one of the early shows before I was even into metal. That my cousin brought me to a couple metal or core shows that some of them I've meshed well with, and some of them I didn't. But it is what it is. So yeah, Municipal Waste, always phenomenal. What I was surprised with, and it like, not to say I don't like grindcore, it's just kind of where I stop at in terms of extreme metals.
Is it the music itself or is it the lyricism?
Music itself, it's just like, the best way to say it is like, it's no matter how like, just like with like how I describe technical death metal or technical anything. You can fancy something up. You can make it so impressive that at a certain point it's just like boring.
Yeah, you feel about progressive.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah, but Carcass is really good, and I think it's because they're the first to do it. Because they're still like kind of like
give them a pass, right?
Yeah, just like with Metallica's first 3 records. Well, I say after the first album, Kill 'Em All is a good thrash album, but when you start comparing it to Slayer's first album or Megadeth's first album, or hell, even well, I'm trying to think, Overkill's,
Yeah.
or even
yeah, but Metallica's
they did it. They invented it.
Yeah, but Metallica's like thrash for the mainstream.
Eventually, yes. I think they get sucked in. What the problem with the first record is, which really isn't a problem, it's just kind of like time and place, is that it's just new wave of British heavy metal sped up with more punk influence. So it's just so bare bones and like the first of it that there's really no substance other than this is new. You know what I mean?
You're so desensitized.
Yeah?
You're so desensitized. That is a awesome first record.
It's my favorite record.
Oh, of all Metallica's discography?
Yes.
Well, I can see why, because it's the only thing close to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not as good as what you're talking about, according to you. But it's the only thing that comes close.
I think musically they definitely come into their own with
if you say Ride the Lightning?
Ride the Lightning or
yes!
Master of Puppets.
Master of Puppets can suck.
Or even the Black Album. Kill 'Em All, I just enjoy more because it's rudimentary and it's like the introduction to a whole new style of metal music. Kind of like with why I love Venom is because it's literally the introduction, showing the world what black metal is before anybody even knew about subgenres of metal. Because when the new wave of British heavy metal came out, you have so many different bands: Satan, Grim Reaper, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Venom, Thor. Or I'd say Thor is because I would have put something for power metal that isn't, like Man of War or Halloween. I actually really like Thor. It's a Canadian power metal band that came out around the same time as New Wave of British heavy metal. But that is to say, there's just so many different genres that came out of that wave, and to see a development of it that's like what we consider traditional heavy metal is like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. And obviously when you go to the start, Black Sabbath invented doom and stoner metal, with also like it's I disagree with my dad in terms of calling Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple rock bands. I think
they're metal. They founded metal.
Yeah, but it's just slightly different than everybody else at the time, enough to be like, this is the next step, but it's not such a big step. I think in terms of the one out of those three that took the biggest step is Black Sabbath, obviously. But what I'm getting at is when you're the first of something, there's just magic there. You know, just like with bestial black metal with blasphemy. It's a very extreme style of metal, but because it's the first, for me personally, it's more palatable. I think that because I can see what the step was to get to that new genre. I guess for me, in terms, I can get down with more extreme black metals than I can with the progression that death metal took. I think grindcore is really like scraping the bottom of the barrel for me in terms of how extreme death metal I like. But Carcass, I don't know. I was surprised how much I like. I really like their albums. You know, I think they were pretty solid albums. Sometimes they get a little. I mean, it's pussy shit to say that it's a little too much for me, but it's just how my taste in metal music. But in terms of seeing them live, oh my god, they were so good that it's like it was just the energy and the vibe of their performance, how friendly they were on stage, and like I said, it's kind of like as they're showing autopsy covers, like of their album covers of like just gore and everything for their background and everything. But then you look at the people who are playing, they look like aged dads, you know, almost grandpas.
It's the juxtaposition of it. It's so humorous.
It's so fun, is what it is. It's like you kind of forget how graphic the lyrics are in the moment. You're just having a good time. And since you're already on the high of these really fast thrash metal bands, they slow down a little bit, but it's still heavier. Kind of like how doom metal is slower, but it can be very heavy. Or like describing the difference between hard rock bands within themselves. Like AC/DC can be hard, but Motorhead is probably the heaviest hard rock band.
Levels,
Yeah,
of course,
for each kind of genre.
right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say really anything Guns N' Roses did that was heavy, but compared to like Motorhead and AC/DC, hard rock can get pretty heavy. You know, like there's a bunch of different degrees, but it's still heavier. It's heavier music. So just like the momentum, it was just stayed there when Carcass hit the stage, even though it's a different type of music.
Right.
And it was just a ball, and crowd surfing, the circle pit, and the actual mosh part of it was so fun.
Yeah, if you're not coming out all bruised and battered, were you even in the mosh pit?
That it was the first time in a while where I woke up in the morning. I'm like, damn, I got my shit rocked.
Your sternum had a bruise on it.
Yeah,
Some kind of marking on you.
somebody ran straight into my chest with their shoulder.
Oh yeah, don't forget did you get clobbered in the nose?
Oh yeah, I got
It's a miracle your nose was
punched in the
just
face.
squirting blood after that. And of course, you're so much in the moment, you don't even pay attention till afterwards. Like a soldier who gets shot in war, they don't even realize it because their adrenaline's so hyped up.
Yeah, and it's also like, yeah, it's violent, but it's like
You gotta vent somehow, right?
they care.
Oh,
They're
phone
not-
calls and stuff.
They're not there to hurt you. You know, I mean, it's just a product of the type of, in a way, dancing
It is dancing.
that isn't hardcore dancing with the throwing elbows and everything. You know, that is really not appropriate, because that will seriously hurt people when you're throwing elbows, just swinging, basically flailing.
Yeah, like a schizophrenic amoeba just kind of bouncing
Yeah.
off one another.
Didn't you say that there were these two girls that was hardcore dancing at the was it the second act? The second opening?
Yes. Like as soon as the pit started for Sacred Reich, there's these two girls who started hardcore dancing, and then they ran into each other, and then one girl pushed the other girl down, had her hair pulled up, and just started punching her.
That's not protocol.
Yeah,
That's not
but they're
moshing.
friends. But they're friends. So
Okay,
it's
that's
like
cool.
but obviously, security broke it up. It was just like, just don't do that again.
Can I do that to you?
No,
Damn it.
we'll both get kicked out.
What if I win the fight?
Doesn't matter. We both lose if we're out of the club.
Okay, fair enough.
But overall, that was a really fun show, and it didn't bring me back to the 80s, but it definitely was a really fun experience, and it's one of those like, damn, I wish I could go again.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I probably should have gone. But there's always next show.
Yeah.
Which is that
City Morgue at
it's
the
City
moment.
Morgue?
It's either going to be City Morgue or Off, depending on.
I haven't listened to a goddamn song from Off.
You want to go
I do, but that's
because
only.
you want to see Keith Morrison.
Yeah, I want to see what he looks like in person.
Yeah, with City Morgue, if you want to talk about extreme moshing, those people are there to do you harm. You talk about protocol and like how if someone falls out of these other shows, they're going to help you up. These people, no, they have shown up to do you harm.
What, they're gonna stomp on you when you fall down?
Probably.
You get stampled, not stomped.
Excuse me.
But it's going to be a hell of a show, considering that it's going to be their last show. And yeah, I know we're talking about traditional metal music and, traditional rock and metal music, like I said, but I really like trap metal, and it's done great. And I think City Morgue does it really well.
Right, and I've given them their fair share. Like I've sat down, I've listened to City Morgue, just like a lot of black metal, a lot of doom and death. It's like it doesn't jive with me, right? On like if I'm just listening to it for my own pleasure, just for recreation, it doesn't really jive with me. But when I go to a show, you feed off that energy.
Mm-hmm.
To me, those genres thrive in person because it's all about venting. It's all about just getting it all out. I don't listen to soft rock for that. I don't listen to Van Morrison. Or,
Oh my God. That one day where we just listened to like all kinds of different Brown Eyed Girl covers.
Oh, how many? We only listened, 3 or 4? There's a Jimmy Buffett one.
There's Lagwagon, Real Big Fish.
Lagwagon was really good.
That was a really good punk cover, but also the ska cover of it by Real Big Fish was really good.
Yeah, but all that just to say that, it's like a lot of these genres, for me personally, you have to be there live for the music to really have its effect.
I would say the same for me with progressive music. Like when I saw Kansas, I definitely enjoyed seeing Kansas more than listening to Kansas.
For me, that is like that's black metal. It's like Mayhem, for example. When we saw Mayhem,
that was sick.
It was awesome.
Just the fact that we could say that we saw Mayhem.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like surreal saying it out loud and it not be bullshit. Yeah, we actually saw Mayhem.
I mean,
it's not that big of a deal, but it kind of is.
Yeah,
for us, it's really cool.
I mean, given when we were born and everything, Ged was already dead. Your Anonymous is dead, and Varg is just not in the band anymore because the original bass player came back. But they have the original bass player and drummer when we saw them. So yeah, we saw that. We saw what we could of Mayhem.
Like when we see the Murder Junkies, it's not Gigi's band anymore, but
it's practice. You got Dino and Merle.
I hope Merle throws shit at me.
It's not gonna happen.
If anybody, it'll probably be Dino. He's probably gonna shove his drumsticks up his ass and throw it into the crowd.
Oh, poor James.
Oh, I hope it hits James right in the head.
You guys aren't gonna have a ride home.
We'll take a Greyhound back.
We'll take the Greyhound back.
Yeah, it's part of the. I kind of hope James leaves us just so we can take the Greyhound.
Yeah.
Take a Greyhound back from a Murder Junkie show. Hey,
That's how Gigi would have wanted it.
Maybe you should ask Merle to sign your bass.
Yeah, I could have him sign the pick guard.
Oh yeah, maybe he could be an extra in the movie.
That's a pretty far drive because he lives in California.
I'll pay his fare.
Honestly, I think if you paid his fare and paid him a decent check, he'd probably be in your movie. Considering he's selling his own shit.
The man's a bit desperate.
Well, he's making art with his shit. Like he's making paintings and stuff with his shit.
I have to fact check this.
Yeah, look it up. You saw the documentary.
Not the second one.
Oh, she didn't see that one. She
I was
saw the
gonna
Todd
say.
Phillips one, right?
Yeah, she saw the Hated in the Nation.
What's his name? Merle Allen?
Merle Allen, yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely, in terms of legacy band members, I don't know how I'm gonna see Geezer Butler because Heaven Hell is done because Dio's gone, Black Sabbath is done, and his solo stuff has been pretty slow. It's like
Right.
that's bucket list. I was able to see Eric Wilson. That alone. I mean, it wasn't with
That's
Sublime
emotional.
with Room. Very emotional for me.
Oh.
Yeah, you found him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, how did you even type that into the search? Did you put Merle Allen shit art?
I literally looked Merle Allen selling his shit, and
Yeah, you don't need an AI generated image to pull that up.
yeah.
I bucket list. My honest bucket list, regardless if I could or couldn't, would be Lemmy, Kronos, Phil Lynott, Geezer Butler, and Eric Wilson.
I have an Eric in my bucket list. Gee, you want to guess which Eric that is?
Who?
Clapton.
He came through a couple, like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
What happened?
It's just like I forget that I could just go to shows. You know what I mean? Like it's just like I could just go. I don't know. This is like, it happens every once in a while. I have to remind myself, like, oh yeah, I can just like buy a ticket and drive to go see because they just seem so like beyond me.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I forget that I could just go see Eric Clapton.
that they're people.
Yeah.
You forget that they're people.
They're
Yeah,
just human beings that we could go see. The same way you feel about Geezer Butler is kind of the same way I feel about Richie Blackmore.
yeah.
It's like I would love to see him, but I don't really know like what capacity.
Yeah.
Like I'd love to see Rainbow, but I don't think that's gonna happen, Chief.
No,
I don't think I'm not. I can't see Dio anymore.
no. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. But hey, saw Merciful Fate.
We did.
That was cool. Has nothing to do with that, but like
I mean, in
That was
terms of it having a few original members plus King Diamond, that's enough.
yeah.
That's enough. You don't need the full package.
Oh, can I talk about something real fast?
Yeah,
I'll
go ahead.
allow it.
Speaking about that,
I'll allow it.
I find it interesting that ticket prices nowadays for I guess modern day celebrities are like 100 to 200 because there's some artists that I'm interested in seeing, but their ticket prices are like ranging from 150 to like 200. But then like with Merciful Fate, which is a very important band, or just other bands in
Second
general,
black metal band.
Creator, just in general, all these other big bands. We saw them for like what, $60 a ticket?
This is Steel, dude.
Yeah,
It is.
We've robbed them.
and it's really upsetting considering this is a surprise to nobody. I was devastated seeing the Madonna ticket prices.
Yeah.
Were they like $300?
They were like $250 a piece for the top row at State Farm Arena.
It makes sense. Are you shocked?
I
A
was
little
just very upsetting.
Okay.
I was just too upset to think of anything like that because it's like I don't have many pop artists where I'm like yes, but Madonna is the top of the list for me. Madonna is my favorite pop
Yeah, but
singer.
she's not modern pop.
Yeah,
80s pop hits different.
I'd spend like 150 to see Gwen Stefani if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Gwen Stefani
Honestly, yeah.
is another pop artist I like. It also saddens me that I have to say it that way instead of saying the ska artist. We've had this conversation several times. Am I just the bad guy for just like, can you just do No Doubt stuff? Like, Hollaback Girl isn't that bad, but at the same time, can I get some more Sunday Morning? You know what I mean?
That's fair enough, but you're also the only one asking for it, so you're not going to get it. It's about supply and demand, and no one is demanding, so there will be no supply.
When she put out 2020 Vision, though, I was so hopeful. I was telling
You were
all my
hyped?
friends.
You
I
were
was
hyped
telling-
about
dude,
it.
She's coming back. She's coming back.
Like, I didn't give two shits, and you were talking to me for like 2 hours about it. I'm like, you got me hyped. I was getting secondhand excitement from you. Like how you're probably going to get secondhand cancer from me. Not that it's a competition. But it was just crazy how, like, you talked about it for like 2 hours. And then it came out, and it's like, it was all right. It was alright.
And the song was good, but it gave me hope. You know, it was a very good throwback, and it felt good to hear her do ska music. Not quite ska, but like reggae pop.
A step in the right direction.
Yeah, I don't know if there is reggae pop because it's like it's synthetic. Everything all the skank and everything was very synthetic. I could be wrong in the recording that it was actual guitar, but it
I
just
know what
seemed
you mean.
to
Listening to it, yeah, there's
synth.
Yeah, and I'm personally not a fan of synth. I just
If you can do it, it's like obviously right now I can almost do it on guitar, but my issue is palm muting, and I have my fingers always out when I pick, so it's kind of difficult to me for palm muting. But
Yeah.
for most people, once we like, if you can do it, it's a really easy thing to do. And I have no doubt that Gwen Stefani is able to skank.
Yeah, it's like learning stick on a truck. If you can drive stick, you can drive about any damn thing. If you can skank, I don't think there's anything you can't play.
Yeah, it's just one of the, like I could tremolo pick and I can gallop from the new wave of British heavy metal, but the chugging and skanking are the two things I struggle with on guitar.
We should change our names. Chug and Skank. You got Chip and Dale, Finn and Jake, Mordecai Rigby, and Chug and Skank. Oh, before we move on,
The whole show was so good.
yeah,
Overall, the show was very good. And to end off where I ended it before we went on to a rant about pop singers,
what the hell happened?
it was a really fun show, and I want to relive it, but it is what it is.
Right now, who is your favorite reggae artist? The Police or the Clash?
Out of those two choices,
Yeah, who's your favorite reggae band?
the Police.
Well, technically, yeah, because the Clash, first off, isn't even a punk band, right?
That's fair.
We don't talk about it. It's hush hush, But let's stop sweeping it to the side. The
Yeah,
Clash
they
is-
do too much to just be classified as a punk band.
Right, but the Police straight up just do reggae.
Yeah. Roxanne is my favorite song, and probably because when I was little, I wanted to spite my dad because that's his least favorite one.
Which is crazy. The fact I brought it up to piss him off last time I saw him, and
Love
like
you,
we
Dad.
had like a legitimate conversation about the song, and there was like no malice underneath. I'm like, I wasn't looking for an actual good conversation. I was looking to piss you off. But yeah. So speaking of punk, right? I don't know if you heard. Did you hear the news?
I saw the bulletin.
You saw the bulletin? Yeah, breaking news.
Spider-Man isn't spotted in New York.
No, he was spotted in Lego City. The reporter got the facts wrong.
Right.
Yeah, but other than Spider-Man being sighted in Lego City,
What's the list of the bands that were on that desert island?
oh yeah, there's quite a few of them. We had the Murder Junkies, Widio Willems in the Plasmatics, Danzig in the Misfits, the original lineup, the Addicts, Motorhead. Are they a punk band?
We can say that they are.
Yeah, they're a punk band.
Breaking the illusion. We can play ball with that.
Yeah, they got a punk aesthetic and a punk vibe to them.
It was the punk's favorite metal band.
It's good enough. That fits the criteria.
You know,
The Descendants and the Sex Pistols. They have crash landed in the South Pacific.
I know we're talking about this, but I also want to make the point that punks also really liked AC/DC.
Yes.
Anyway,
Who the hell doesn't? Is a better question. So we have a lineup of 7 punk bands. Okay, 6 punk bands and a band that we're gonna call a punk band.
they do everything because like they do classic rock, hard rock, thrash metal, punk, blues, and country.
It's like the Clash. What do they not do? Is Motorhead just a better version of the Clash? Maybe.
I don't know. They didn't do reggae.
Oh no.
Are you telling me Lemmy can't skank?
Oh.
Can Lemmy skank?
I have not seen footage of it.
How can Lemmy be God if Lemmy can't skank?
He doesn't need to.
Fair enough. So we got 7 bands. They have crash landed on a desert island in the middle of the ocean. No one is coming for them. Trust me. They probably shut the plane down in the international waters, so no one can claim them.
I mean,
No one wants these guys.
I don't know. I think out of all these bands, Motorhead is the only one they're like, should we have done that?
But think about it. Think about the risk here. If you go to pick up Lemmy, you have to pick up everybody else. That ship is going down before it gets back to the coast. And we're about to find out why. Because we chose these bands because we think it would be fun. Actually, we had this conversation at work a few months ago. I don't know how it came up, but we talked for like 3 hours about.
After I've already clocked out.
Yeah, you could have stolen company time and money if you wanted to. But we're over there talking about what would happen if these bands crash landed on a desert island. Because I think I got the idea. You ran with it. I got the idea because I was watching Dead Meat.
Yeah.
There was a Dead Meat podcast. He had a whole segment on what would happen with slashers on a desert island, and I'm like, okay, I love that concept because the first season of Total Drum Island was a bomb, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I want to do that, but I don't want to be slashers because they did it.
Right.
So we had differentiated ourselves. So punk bands.
So also, I also want to take the note that the reason why the Addicts are on this list, and not a lot of people talk about them, it just so happens that they're in my top 5.
Are you sure? As you wear the Addicts t-shirt?
That I got at the show. He came back.
It's an awesome t-shirt, by the way.
Made in England. Basically, for those who don't know, it's kind of like a fun oi band with the aesthetic of the Clockwork Orange, and I've mentioned it like 4 or 5 times out of the 10 episodes we have. Clockwork Orange is my favorite movie ever made.
What? We're hearing it first, folks. Yeah, it's like I feel like that's the one band that most people probably aren't familiar with. Because even with the others, everyone's heard the Sex Pistols. They're a classic. They're a bona fide classic. If you know anything about punk, you know the Sex Pistols.
You know G.G. Allen.
Nowadays, yeah.
Yeah.
When he was alive, I feel like he was even more obscure, even though he was on talk shows and stuff. But
Shut up, computer. I don't care about your virus and threat protection.
not even mine had viruses in it. Not even with all the gigabytes of porn. Okay, maybe I shouldn't talk about the gigabytes on my computer.
Yeah, this is the most work my computers has done since I bought it.
I was surprised Steam isn't coming out of it.
Yeah, it's like somebody who's never worked a job in their life for like 30 years, and the moment they have to move.
Can you not talk about my brother like that?
Oh, damn.
Can you not call him out like that? Don't worry, he doesn't have access to the internet. He can't listen to this. Because he doesn't work to pay for the internet.
What about that Indian guy?
He's Peruvian.
I'm sorry.
Indian is a derogatory term. Okay? Or is that Native American? Which one's the offensive one?
If I was talking about the indigenous people of North America, I would have said Native Americans. I am talking about the people from India, okay?
Those Hindus?
Okay, let's start the topic. Desert Island.
Already. So, okay. We're going to have to start with hour 1. We're going to do this by like a, play-by-play basis. So the plane crashes, and assuming that they're not the reason it crashed to begin with, they're all completely new to each other. They have not spoken to each other. They have Molly, we're talking about serious shit. Be quiet.
I have a question. Is this like the forest?
Yes, Willow.
Sure.
It's like the forest, except there's no cannibals. Well, there might be cannibals.
Gigi's probably a cannibal.
So
let's get that out of the way.
So they crashed, and let's just say they had no interactions with each other prior. And this is also all these bands at their peak. Now, how we're defining peak, besides because if we're going off physical prowess, I'd say 90s Misfits and beyond is their peak.
But we're gonna do with the original lineup:
but 90s. So we
Right.
got Buff Danzig, Buff Jerry, and Buff Doyle. Just a bunch of beefcakes.
Right. Like we're not going with when they were the most popular. We're going in like
Because they still weren't popular in the 90s.
right. We're not going off popularity.
And
When
if
we
we
say
did it when they started, there would be a bunch of scrawny teenagers who just liked horror movies a bit too much.
yeah, when we say peak, we mean in retrospect. What me and
Fucking
Slug.
Charlie for 4. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Look, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But like, yeah, it's peak is in hindsight for us, like in retrospect, looking back at this music, what we think is their best period. So let's go through that. What is the best period? What's the best
We
period?
got the clip. We got for shorts when we get the YouTube channel ready. We got the promo up, and we're trying to figure out how to get the audio there. We're gonna have some shorts, and it's just gonna be the audio clips that are the best from all the episodes.
Oh my god!
Most of them are gonna be the last broadcast.
You can make a compilation of all the. Oh wait, that's a reference in itself. You're referencing the fact that we make references.
Which is a reference.
Oh,
Okay, so peak it, whether the popularity, quality, or even notoriety.
okay, but let's do this. So the reason I was laughing is because I was about to say, what's the peak for Gigi Allen and the Murder Junkies?
When he wasn't around.
Oh damn.
He has to be there though. He's included.
I would say whenever freaks, faggots, junkies, and drunks came out, which would probably be late 80s.
Right. Yeah, that's one thing. I'm thinking like 88 and until his death. Because that's also when he had the most notoriety. The only reason I think a lot of people are talking about him today is because you have the Todd Phillips documentary, Hated, but you also have a few other things. Just the exposure through the internet.
What did he do other than the Joker?
Todd Phillips, he did the Hangover movies.
Okay. It shows.
He's got a real thing for people just going off the rails, going on drug and alcohol induced.
To make a Gigi movie, the Hangover movies, and then a remake of Taxi Driver.
Yeah,
he's got to have it.
He's definitely got a trend. So like 88 to 94 is like that's the time frame we're working with Gigi. And
probably the same time period for the Plasmatics.
Okay.
I would say probably around the time her first solo album came out when basically Kiss worked on her album for her.
Which is awesome to think about.
Which, I mean, obviously she wrote the songs and sang, but they played and produced the album.
Okay. Now let's keep moving down the line.
The Addicts, I would probably say I think they're late 70s is when they started doing their thing, so I'd say mid 80s.
Okay.
Mid 80s. In terms of popularity, I would say they're definitely better than Gigi in terms of popularity and in quality of music, honestly. With Gigi, it's a matter of taste and how much you can palate, but I would say the Addicts is quality and popularity was the 80s.
And the Misfits 90s.
We'll say 90s to today,
Okay.
but use 90s built, but use the original lineup.
Motorhead. I'm looking at that. That's kind of a difficult one to process. The peak was
right between Ace of Spades and Iron Fist.
Right.
But they also peak again with different lineups. I'm going to choose the original lineup.
Yeah, agreed.
So between Ace of Spades and Iron Fist, which controversial opinion, I think Iron Fist is better.
Controversial opinion? I agree. The Descendants.
The Descendants? Same, like 80s.
Yeah, Sex Pistols. I mean, that was easy.
Yeah, when their first album came out.
Their first and their last.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's who we're working with. We've created a time frame in which we consider them at their peak. So that's who we're dealing with. All right, what's the first thing when they crawl out of the wreckage of this fiery plane? What's the first thing that's happening?
Gigi runs off into the woods.
Yes, instantly he's gonna leave Merle and Dino in the dust. He's probably he can't crawl out the plane with grease splattered on his face like war paint, like he's in Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
It just books it for the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
He's gone. They didn't even know he was there.
Right.
So people are gonna have to take leadership roles immediately because there's gonna be chaos. People are like, "What the hell happened?"
Danzig. So the leaders are going to be Danzig, Milo from The Descendants, Wendy O. Williams, and Lemmy.
Do they form all of them form separate groups?
No, I think Lemmy, Wendy, and Milo work together because Lemmy is just the best leader.
He's gonna be a good mediator.
Yeah, Wendy is smarter than people give her the benefit of, but at the same time, Milo has a literal doctorate in biology.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. So, do you think at any point Wendy and Lemmy would run away to like fuck in the woods?
Probably.
Yes. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
get there. Spoilers.
We'll get there.
Okay.
Trust me, this will happen.
I mean, if it happened in real life, it's going to happen in this scenario.
Yeah, this is a major plot point.
Cool.
This is a
No.
turning point. Them fucking in the jungle is going to be a major plot point in this.
Do you like pina coladas?
Getting caught in the damn it. Okay. Hey, if you want to let me sing my Irish folk music, you don't get to sing Pina Colada.
Okay, that's fair.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. So instantly, I think the major group that's going to form right off the bat is Wendy O. Williams is going to team up with Lemmy, and Milo's going to join them. I think the three of them are going to spearhead the first most prominent group. That's the easy part to figure out. And of course, the bands that back them up are going to follow them.
Okay.
The real question is what happens with everyone else, all the tertiary people.
I think the murder junkies join the Misfits.
Yes.
Just because because of how Dino and Merle are very just reserved. I think they'll just gravitate to Danzig because of how demanding, and I mean he's a short guy, but he can be very intimidating. Like just because of how you bring yourself to something, and I think Danzig. I mean Doyle and Jerry will follow Danzig because we're assuming it's the same. They have the same brotherhood like they did in the 70s.
Right. That same working relationship.
Yeah.
Right at the time.
Yeah.
There's been no bad blood at this point.
Yeah.
Um.
And I think, honestly, I think the addicts are going to side with. As funny as it is, and I really don't want to really say this about though, but they are out of their league in this situation because they're just a bunch of kids who it's an oi punk band who just love about singing about beer and having a good time and just fun songs, and then you put them in a very serious situation.
Are they dressed up like the Droogs too?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So they're just, but they had to break character because they're genuinely scared to death. It isn't like
They even lose the accents and everything too.
the fake Russian accent.
Yeah. Oh, but like, okay, so I think they're gonna be more like a street gang.
Well, I meant to say, let me correct myself because the language they speak is based off of Russian, but it's in the movie. It's based the writing and how they speak is based off of Russian, but it's an English band.
Don't dumb down for other people. If they don't get it, they don't get it.
I didn't want them to think that they speak with Russian accents when they're on stage because that's not what it is.
You know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. You know what you're talking about. Don't touch me. Fellas.
What the fuck? I didn't even touch you. Anyway.
It was a Dr. Hook reference. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Listen. So they're going to be like a street posse, like a street gang. Of course, because they're the Droogs. And of course, they're going to be strong-armed in the following the most physically domineering presence, which funnily enough is not going to be Lemmy. Lemmy's actually be the cool guy. even though he can definitely kick everyone's ass.
Mhm.
He's gonna be the cool guy who sits in the back of the bar smoking a cigar that no one even thinks twice about, but at the same time you're like, I'm not going over there.
I guess I'm not going to the bathroom tonight until that guy moves.
I'm not going anywhere near that guy. He's like, I can take him. Oh yeah, walk over there. Fuck no. I'll hold my piss.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So yeah, the addicts and the misfits and Merlin Dino are going to join forces because everyone's going to be strong armed by Danzig. Just because he's loud and he's brash, everyone's just going to not say anything about you, right? But like people like that definitely draw in that kind of crowd. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I think there you go. You get your first major group. Now they have the numbers, but they do not they get the broads, but they don't have the brains. The brains, as you said, is with Milo, with Wendy, and with Lemmy.
Yeah.
What else? Take it away.
Gigi just becomes Gollum, and at night they can hear him scampering on the beach, stealing some food and supplies, and he just runs off into screaming back into the woods when he gets seen.
You're forgetting something. Lyndon. Sex Pistols.
Oh, right.
That's what I was going with. I'm like, you're speeding up the time here. No, we gotta figure out the groups.
Okay, the Sex Pistols, they're definitely doing. If we're gonna go with what their music style is, they're definitely not going to be wanting to be part of any group.
Well, no, because their whole MO is
anarchy punk.
They're anarchy. They're anti-government. They're going to be completely against any group that forms. Hell, we'll be surprised if they don't create their own civil war. There's going to be plenty of that happening later. But yeah, in themselves, there's going to be a splinter faction that grows.
We can't even with picking the perfect Sex Pistols, period. We can't even do it by month. Even with how short their time period was together, they hated each other.
Yeah, they never liked each other. So they'll probably, if we're going to be honest with ourselves, what's probably going to happen is John Lyndon's not going to want, not John Lennon. Lyndon. He's not going to want to form a major group. He's going to be against any kind of governmental system that's forming on this island. So what's probably going to happen is everyone else is going to leave him because first off, they hate him anyways. They're probably going to leave him and join I think they're going to join the Lemmy group.
Actually, I think Jones is going to join the guitar player. I think Jones is going to join Lemmy's group. I think Sid Vicious is going to join the Misfits.
You know what? Yeah,
I
concur. Yeah, Sid Vicious 100% is going over to the Misfits group. Or should we just call it the Danzig group?
The Danzig group, yeah.
Everyone else is just following him.
Yeah, we got Danzig and the Misfits and the Murder Junkies and Sid Vicious.
That's a scary group. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's terrifying. I'm actually kind of worried about the Libby, Wendy, and Milo group now. Oh my god.
We got a lot of smart people, though. A lot of smart people.
Oh, yeah. So they're going to be the first ones. Night one, they're already building a structure. They have a shelter in place immediately. They know that they need food, water, and shelter. So they probably already have a water purifier. They've already built a structure to house themselves in. They're fine. They're doing good. It's like the
SpongeBob episode.
Yeah,
in Kelp Forest.
Yeah, and Squidward is Gigi Allen. Except him saying, "Can I have something to eat?" He's like, "Can I eat you?"
He just wakes up. Danzig's, who the fuck just took a bite out of me?
Gigi would be stupid enough to do that. They all wake up and it's like there's just like
bite
teeth
marks.
Yeah, it's like scratches all over.
What animal attacked us last night?
It's like it's an island. There's a jungle there, but there's like no animals. That's the whole point. There's no animals on the island.
They don't know that.
They don't, but so they wake up and they have animalistic bite marks in their flesh, so they think there's animals on the island. So it's just Gigi. It's just Gigi
gets eaten.
Yeah,
he's the first one to go.
No, Gigi's not gonna kill Sid. Not off the bat. This is night one, right? So we have our major groups formed. Now with the Danzig group, he's gonna be too hot-headed. to do what Lemmy's doing because that shows that he's a follower. But he's not a follower, so he's not going to do what the smart group's doing. So he's like, we're a bunch of badasses. We don't need a structure. So they sleep under the stars and just they raw dog nature and just go for it. Now, John Lennon dies sometime in the night because he gets dragged away by Gigi.
It's a terrifying thought of being dragged away by Gigi Allen.
But of course, his group left them. So they wake up and there's just like drag marks through the sand up into the jungle. They're like, we heard howling in the night.
That is wolves.
It thought there was something. So at this point, there's a cryptid on the island. There's some kind of monstrous being. There's already legends spreading around the campfires.
And Merle and Dino are just keeping quiet.
They know.
Because they don't. Merle doesn't want to get his brother killed.
Merle doesn't want, and Dino's like, I don't want to get eaten. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna shut up. For different reasons, they're both being very tight-lipped about the presence that's being on the island. So yeah, he's out already. Sorry, Johnny boy, but he's out. We get our first casualty. Day 2. How's the social hierarchy doing? How is Lemmy, Milo, and Wendy getting along? I feel like they're getting along pretty good.
Yeah.
In fact, they probably already had a threesome.
Ah!
I don't know about that. I think Milo.
Is he a cuck? Do you think he watches from the?
No, he's married, and he's still thinking about his wife
When was he married? When did he get married?
after he got his doctorate. So like probably mid-80s.
Okay, that's the time
Early
frame we're
80s.
working with.
Yeah,
Okay, so he's like John Marston from Red Dead,
yeah.
and he's too good to go sleep with prostitutes. That's why GTA's better. Sorry, Willow.
Hey.
I disagree. Don't worry. So, okay, Milo is just kind of sleeping there, and he's listening to him having sex. But he's like, "This is good. This is good for the morale of the group. They're getting closer." He's like, as a guy who's smart, he knows that this is for the betterment of the group.
Yeah, let them go at it. Let them be animals for a couple every once in a while.
I think the real social decay that starts happening by day 2 is already in the Danzig group.
Oh yeah,
Because he's such an asshole and such a dick. Everyone's already getting tired of him.
yeah.
And I think Merle and Dino are probably going to already be fed up with it.
Like right out of the gate.
Right out the
yeah.
gate, I'm really curious to hear what you have to say about the addicts and how they're dealing with this. And Sid Vicious. Because I think, personally, I know I just passed you a question. Let me say this first. Sid Vicious is secretly vying for power. And I think he's consulting with other members of the group for a coup.
Honestly, considering he put out a cover of "My Way" by Frank Sinatra, there's some ego with him. Even though he admitted to being a shit bass player, and the only reason why he was able to start actually playing bass is because of Lemmy.
Right. So the ultimate goal of Sid Vicious is, I think, to get
Power.
It's power, and that even means usurping Lemmy. But in order to become so Sid Vicious is like the secret villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
That's about right. Sid Vicious is the secret villain here. So he's whispering in all the other members' ears about a coup. He's like, Danzig's a dick, isn't he? You hate this guy, right? God, this guy can't even sing. Just a lie. Everyone knows it.
Oh,
But
God,
Sid
yeah.
Vicious is just a dick.
Yeah. Dino and Merle's like, you don't have to tell us this. We know this.
It's like, yeah, we know Danzig sucks. So yeah, we were already on board. So I think the most easily converted are going to be Merle and Dino.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, they're joining Sid's coup. But what are the addicts doing? Are they following suit?
I think they're honestly thinking about deserting the group and going to Milo's because they realize they're in over their head.
They're like, we need a more stable group. Because at first they wanted to join who looked the most powerful.
Yeah.
Just like numerically and also who's just like the strongest.
Right.
But then they see how well the other side's doing and they're like, we're going to switch teams.
Yeah.
Like how I do when I'm playing Call of Duty and the other team's got like 30 more kills. And I'm just like, sorry guys. I'm not going down with this ship if I'm not the captain. So, yeah, I think that's probably what's going to happen is I agree with you. The addicts are already plotting to leave, but they're definitely not joining Sid.
No.
They're not joining. They're just out here to survive. They're probably the most down there with relatable, surprisingly, for a group that their whole theatrics are based off the Droogs.
Yeah,
Are probably the most human.
But they sing songs about drinking beer and having a good time. They're not worried about, like with the Sex Pistols, the political aspect of everything or the intensity of the other bands. They're just too like fun. Like no matter what their aesthetic is, it's just they're just boys who are at the pub. You know, they're not equipped to
didn't sign
deal
up
with
for
this.
this.
Yeah, they didn't sign up for this.
They're not the real Droogs.
Yeah,
They got that imposter syndrome. Like they like immediately take off the garb. We're like, yeah, this.
Monkey is losing his mind.
So I don't think by day 2 they're switching sides yet. But they've all decided where they stand by day 2.
Yeah.
Within the Danzig group. So the addicts going to the Lemmy side under the cover of night. Here's what's going to happen. Night 2 falls. All of you bottom feeder, go away. Night 2 falls. One of them's getting dragged away. Under the cover of darkness, they're going to hear some scuttling noises coming as they're traveling down the beach to go to because their camps aren't going to be like right next to each other.
Right.
So they have to go to like the other side of the island, which isn't an incredibly far walk, but it's still far enough to where you can't see the other camp.
Right.
From that point of view. So they're in that middle zone where it gets really dark. And they hear scuttling. And they can't see it because it's a cloudy night. The sun, the moon is obscured by clouds. So there's no light. One of them gets taken away. I think it's Monkey.
Oh, I don't know. I think Monkey would put up a fight.
That's why Gigi targeted. I think he chose. If Gigi's biting the Misfits, if he's biting Danzig, you really don't think he's going to take out Monkey? Monkey's going to put up a fight, but he's just going to be dragged away.
There's still 4 Droogs left.
No? But I think he's just going to be targeted out.
That sucks, man.
Because I think he's going to be toward like the front of the group, and Gigi's going to see that as a threat.
He sees everything as a threat.
He's like, if they're in the front, that means they're going to be a problem for me later.
All right.
Is that fair?
That's fair.
So Monkey's gone. We're losing people, and it's not by natural causes.
No.
He's eating
natural about it.
Yeah, he's eating good. Okay, so day 3. Do you think before the sun even rises? Do you think there's a conflict in the group that arises? Do you think the coup?
Danzig?
Do you think the coup already takes place
At dawn?
Strike at dawn.
Yes.
But as everyone's waking up, Sid Vicious lives up to his name. Does he kill Danzig?
I think he strangles him to death.
Because
It's
wouldn't want
very
to?
cheap. While he's sleeping, just grab him while he's not looking. Because he's asleep.
like I think everyone's gonna hear the news. It's gonna spread pretty quick around the island because there's only 2 groups. It's gonna spread pretty quickly. First off, the Droogs, excuse me, the addicts are gonna get to the Lemmy group and say they were attacked in the night. Then news is gonna reach them. Danzig is dead. No bells will ring for him though. No bells at all. Even though at first they're excited by this news, it's also going to occur to them that somebody killed them.
Yeah.
It's Sid. Very, very obviously it's Sid because he is now the self-proclaimed leader. The rest of the Misfits, though, they're not falling. They're not falling for this.
I think they go to Lemmy's group.
Yeah. You don't think they're going to fight, though?
No, I think in their own interest, I think they can, like, what's the saying? Retreat now so we can fight another day.
I really like this because that means Sid Vicious started this coup, and by the end of it, he has no one to lead.
Right.
The only people he has is Merlin.
Yeah. And I think since it's daytime, like, as soon as They just, as soon as they hear this news, they see Doyle and Jerry running across the beach to them.
Baywatch style.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Fucking David Hasselhoff.
Can be started.
Yeah. Okay, so this is interesting because I think the addicts are probably gonna want a revenge for Monkey, but they think it was Sid.
Right.
That's when the coup took place under the cover of night. So they think that they were attacked as well because they left the group.
Right.
And that they were targeted out. So they're gonna tell them, and they're gonna be like, "Well, now you're with us." Lemmy's and Wendy will be like, "Okay, now you're with us," which makes us in danger as well.
Right.
Because they might come attack us now. What's funny is Sid barely has anyone.
Yeah, it is 2 people left,
It's
but
2 people.
in
And
a moment, like as soon as the what's left of the addicts go there, which I say is left, but there's like when Monkey's gone, there's still 4 members of the band left. But whatsoever left of the addicts make it there, they said they killed him. They killed Monkey, and then they're gonna come after us now because we're over here, and they're thinking it's a number of 5. But then, like over the horizon, they see Doyle and Jerry run, telling them Sid killed Danzig, strangled him to death.
So they're like, this guy's a threat. They're thinking, holy shit, this entire group is a mass exodus from the other side of the beach. Sid is on a roll. It's day 3, and we've already lost multiple people. It's just funny because none of it is Sid. The only thing Sid did was kill Danzig.
Yeah, and it was a cheap kill too. It wasn't like they fisticuffed it out, because if it was a fisticuff, Danzig would have whooped his ass easy.
The only way he could have killed him is in his sleep.
Yeah.
It's the only way to have done it. So Sid now is in charge of Merle and Dino.
And he's got to sit there like, I thought they were going to stick around.
I fucking guess, like, when he sees who's left, he's going to be like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
I think I messed up.
Yeah.
I think I messed up big time, bro. Because he's now in control of these 2 fuckers.
They're both really quiet because Merle's already really quiet, and Sid is already, like, from the moment they landed, he just, like, everybody knows about Dino.
Right.
He's just like, he's trying to talk to Merle because he's like, just to have any kind of social interaction. All he's trying to do is talk about John Wayne Gacy. And Dino is talking like he's already tripping on acid and he doesn't even know where he got it from.
Dino's probably talking about kids. He's probably touching kids, and Merle's over here talking about serial killers. It's like, this is what I signed up for. This is
and
what
at
I
the
asked
same
for.
time, Sid Vicious is a kid. He's not even like 20.
Right. If
25.
anything, like Dino as one of his right hand men, because there's only 2 of them, so literally 1 man for each side. Dino's probably like touching him and shit, like really uncomfortably.
Yeah.
Like, touching him on the shoulder and shit, and Sid's just like brushing him off. Like, this is what I've been reduced to. This is my group. And so now that they have the numbers, also I think they probably took all the resources that were gathered on day 1 and 2.
What they could grab as they're running.
So like Sid has no resources. He's stuck with probably a pedophile and a serial killer obsessed junkie, and he's stuck with them, and there's no resources. All the resources have gone to the other side, so now they have to forage, and Sid Vicious doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, because before he was with a really strong group that knew how to forage, or at least pretend that they did. They were just like really arrogant about it, so they didn't build a shelter. So now there's no resources, there's no shelter. He's in charge of these loons. And I think the Lemmy group is going to plan an immediate retaliation because they're going to see this as a threat. Right off the bat, they're like, now we have almost all the groups combined into one. Let's just do a counteroffensive. Take out Sid right now. And take out Merle and Dino.
Lemmy is leading the charge with all of his war knowledge. He's like leading a regime against the murder junkies. It's led by Sid Vicious.
Lemmy versus Sid. Matchup of the century.
Yeah.
And of course, Lemmy's got his hat on and his shades. And I can just see him like he wouldn't have a sword. But like in this scenario, I see
At the
him.
time, he would.
Oh yeah, you're right. So I see him doing a charge down the, and this is before 9/11. So like he could bring a sword on the plane. So he's running down the beach, leading practically what is essentially a charge down the beach with all these people. Is Wyndham Williams like the Conan the Barbarian poster with the girl wrapped around Conan's leg? Is that her?
She's both Conan and the girl.
That's what I'm trying to say. Is like
Yeah.
she's both.
She's both. Yeah.
But in this scenario,
Was
it's
there like which the one that Beavis and Butthead reviewed, and all they could say is look at the tits, where she's like it's Mad Max, and she has the mohawk and nothing but like tape over her nipples and a leather thong.
it really is. Mad
While
Max.
she's on top of a school bus as it's going like 80 miles off a hill.
That's so cool.
Yeah, she's both.
Now Milo is the smartest one of the group.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that has been organizing all the resources, but he also knows where everyone is most valuable. And of course, Lemmy and Wendy are going to take his advice. They trust him, so they've had great resource management up to this point. But when it comes time for battle, they're going to look to Milo, I think, to be like, you don't.
I think they're going to look for Lemmy.
It's no
strategic
for war
strategy and combat. Yeah,
but for resource management, it's all Milo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Literally almost everything else.
Okay.
Because Lemmy and the plasmatics. Well, we're also including Animal and Phil in there, and also the actual plasmatics. So there's numbers behind there's actual so there's with the plasmatics there's 5 members. Lemmy there's 3. With the Descendants there's 4 members. Now with the the Addicts there's 4 members, and then with Doyle and Jerry there's 2 members.
Like you want to say Danzaville? I get fucking killed at the night.
Yeah, so it's just they got brains, bronze, and manpower.
It's just the power group.
Yeah,
Sid realizes he's completely outnumbered.
he's completely fucked.
He's fucked. So you know what he does? You know what I think he does?
He kills himself.
I mean, yeah, but I think it's to add a bit more narrative to it, other than just he kills himself, because that's just suicide isn't that fun.
No,
It's not that fun. So what's going to happen is I think Sid is just going to abandon Merle and Dino, and Sid's going to run off into the jungle. The escape. What's the the posse that's coming for him?
I want to think that when they roll up, Lemmy's already like, this is an ambush because Sid's not here, and with little they didn't know he was just a coward.
Yeah, they show up, and when they see Merle and Dino actually showed up for the fight, because it's really just like a matter of principle at this point. And say what you want about Merle and Dino, they're not pussies, and I think they'd show up just in Gigi's name, even though Gigi has nothing to do with the situation.
Yes.
They'd just be like, "This is for Gigi."
Yeah,
and they'd go down swinging. But I think Lemmy's going to see that, and it's like SpongeBob and Patrick in school just swinging at each other and like fight, and they just can't land a single blow. I think Lemmy's gonna have a little bit of
fun with it.
He's gonna respect them. He's gonna be like, you showed up, and just for that, I'm gonna let you go. He's gonna give him an ultimatum. He's gonna be like, you can join us now, or we're gonna kill you.
It's a pretty harsh ultimatum, but that sounds like Lemmy.
He's very, very to the point. Quite literally, he will put the sword up to Merle and be like, choose in the next 5 seconds, or I'm going to behead you, and then Dino's next. He's making
shove this sword up your ass.
And Dino is just going to stand up and charge Lemmy, probably doing like a berserker scream. Lemmy's just going to take him out. And then Merle's going to be like, okay, I'll join you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like, that guy was crazy anyways. Thank God.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Thank God.
The craziest part is that Merle was the sanest.
Of the entire group.
Yeah. And he was pen pals with a lot of serial killers.
What was the story with him and John Wayne Gacy? Where it's like he's...
Oh my God, yes. So they were pen pals, and John Wayne Gacy is a artist too, so he paints, and he would send him pictures of him and his wife to John Wayne Gacy, and the only picture that John Wayne Gacy ever kept was one where it was him, his wife, and his nephew.
It's a reality check of who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this isn't my friend.
Right. Yeah.
But back to the story at hand. Merle's going to join the super group, which means Sid is alone in the jungle. I don't think they're going to go looking for him, but they're definitely going to have guards stationed just in case Sid wants to try anything. But I think they're going to go back to their camp with the super group now, and they're doing really good. Honestly, they're doing really good. And I can already see it now, almost like as a credit scene, or like as right before the movie ends. It's like at the end of Cabin Fever, where the guy's walking around looking at all the carnage. He's like, I made it. I fucking made it. That's what's going to happen with Sid. He's going to be walking through the jungle and be like, oh my God, that was so close. That was so close. And he's going to hear, my precious, coming from the woods.
And then a piece of shit hits him in the face.
He's going to get grabbed by the ankles and pulled into a cave. And that's the end of Sid Vicious.
That was an interesting exercise.
It's like, is it over? Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, if nobody's coming to get them, they just live there now.
I mean, I'm sure eventually there comes a conflict with Gigi. If Merle's probably going to find out that Gigi's still alive and he's out there, and he's probably going to conspire with him. I think at the end of the day, Gigi and Merle come out on top. I hate to say it, because I mean, we're talking about Milo, Wendy, and Lemmy here, but this isn't a perfect world. In a perfect world, they would survive, and this would be the end of the story, and they'd ride off into the sunset. But I think Gigi he's pure chaos incarnate. He'd burn down the forest. What's probably going to happen is he'd burn down the forest, destroying all the resources and all the food in his guerrilla warfare against the civilized world. Because he's gonna look at what they're building, and he's like, fuck the patriarchy, fuck society. They can't tell me what to do, and he's gonna burn the fucking forest down.
You're not my dad.
You can't tell me what to do, and he burns out and destroys all the resources. He's like, now look at you, Dad. Now we're all fucked. And then I think at the end of the day, Milo and them, and all of them, are just gonna build a raft.
Honestly, yeah.
They're gonna, like, Milo's in them. They're gonna know how to build a raft, and they're gonna get out of there. And Merle's gonna be given the chance to leave or stay. And he's gonna stay with Gigi.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
And the only reason Gigi burned the forest is so they would stop building the raft. Because what's really funny about it is Gigi doesn't want them to win. You know, he doesn't want them to, like, be in charge or have power, but at the same time, he's like, he doesn't want to be alone.
Right.
So the real reason he burned down the forest was to keep them on the island with him. First off, so he had food.
Because he refuses just to eat the vegetation.
Also, he hates Lemmy because Wendy's fucking him. He's jealous.
That makes sense. I mean, he does have a micro penis.
As we keep mentioning. So, Gigi is the MVP. I think so. Because he's the only one that remains on the island. He's the only one that refuses to leave, and he stays. Let's talk about Gigi's first album. Before the decline, before he hits rock bottom, which is funny to say he fell. But yeah, his first album, you pulling it up?
Yeah, I want to get it right this time because I always miss saying it. Always was, is, and always shall be 1980
by Orange
Records.
Records. As a first album, I want to say this. It's a fantastic punk record.
Mm-hmm.
It holds up. And you see what happens when you starve artists of fame and fortune.
or any kind of recognition. for
Any
their work.
recognition, any type of creative person, when they're not allowed to show off their creativity and be recognized for it, they either become Hitler or they become Gigi Allen. There's no in between.
Kanye West.
He got the recognition,
Yeah.
and that's the problem. It went to him.
Yeah, it's also really important to mention Gigi Allen's. Sorry, guys, I just kicked the table. I'm not going to do that again. To recognize that it wasn't just him being spoiled and just being like, why can't I be like everybody else? There's a lot of stuff that goes on before the first album. That when this album didn't do well, that was the last straw. There's a lot of stuff.
There was other straws before this.
Yeah.
Some of them were the whole ass camel.
Yeah. Well, we could start with that his dad was fucking crazy to begin with.
So they bury him in the basement.
Yeah, he dug a hole in the basement and told his mom, Merle, and him that I'm going to bury you there. Also, the reason why he's even called Gigi is because his dad called at birth on his birth certificate called him Jesus Christ Allen, and Merle couldn't say Jesus Christ, so he'd say Gigi.
It's really sweet.
Yeah,
It's really cute.
yeah.
In a really sick and twisted way.
He developed a lot of mental illnesses from the abuse that he got from his father, and over time it held a lot of weight on him as he grew older, and also he developed differently than the kids around him.
Of course.
Yeah, and with his style and everything, and he obviously got bullied and everything for it. But Gigi wanted to be a musician more than anything else in his life, and he was a really good drummer. He was such a good drummer before he started fronting the Jabbers for this album we're talking about, that his band that he was playing in opened for the Ramones. So I can tell you how, like,
It's just insane to think about.
yeah, he's an actually talented musician. It's just sad that there was so much already built up and rage and disappointment after disappointment and a level of mental illness that having your first album that you put all your work into, all your blood, sweat, and tears, just for people to tell you it's not good. Just stop.
And he realized he was getting far more recognition, especially later on, for throwing shit at people and for the fighting and the fact that he would force people to get closer to the stage just so he could fight them.
The farther away the seats were, the more expensive they were.
Which is a brilliant way to punch the shit out of somebody.
Yeah.
Even though he was probably the one that got the most beat up at the
yeah.
show.
Yeah. The only way that it rarely ever was a Gigi Allen show finished when the set was done.
The venue would kick them out.
It would either be the venue kicked them out, Gigi was so hurt that they had to get him out of there, or the police showed up and shut it down.
Or some combination of the three.
Yeah.
But it's like he noticed he was getting far more recognition. It's like the kid in class who's not funny. He has like nothing going on for him, and he realizes he can get far more attention by just like being a dick to everybody.
Yeah.
And like pulling out Eric Cartman and shitting on the teacher's desk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a GG thing to do.
Yeah. So there's a level of sympathy.
He just want to give the guy a hug because he's surrounded by such negativity. Now, granted, he does it to himself. It's self-inflicted.
Right.
Because he surrounds himself with shitty people that make him feel better about being shitty.
Right.
But it's also like you just want to show the guy some love. Maybe it's like almost like you can fix him, like you can save the guy. Because like you see him. I'm gonna be real. As terrible as Gigi is, and what everyone says about him, he's safe. He could be saved. He's a guy that could be reeled back if you just showed him some just human decency and some compassion.
Everybody treated him like shit.
Even when he died, they couldn't stop shitting on his grave.
Yeah, they would destroy his headstone. to the point where Merle and his mom just refused to put it back because they knew it was just gonna be destroyed.
It's lost cause.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of his mother, she's such like a normal woman. It was also very supportive, very much, on Gigi's side the entire time and wanted him just to be happy. But he was the kind of guy that was just never going to find that happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Even with success, I think he was bound for the same path.
Right. I definitely think everything, not his path that he took eventually was his choice, but what led him on that path was not his fault.
No. And that's just what trauma and mental illness does to you. But his entire life was just constantly being reinforced over and over and over and over again, some of which was his own damn fault. But it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
And I really don't think his story had an end that differs from the one we had in real life. I don't think there's a different alternative for the guy.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, he still chose the path he was on. But
I think no matter how depraved he was and how much he absolutely hated society, the number one thing he never wanted to be was alone. No matter how much he hated society.
I mean, it shows you how much he just wanted love.
Yeah.
Someone to say that you're doing good.
Yeah.
And not need him to throw around shit like a monkey in a zoo.
Right.
Just to enjoy him as a person.
But I know we're talking about the first album, but
this is important.
The later music, especially, I think my personal favorite album by him, which I know is like literally anything. This album we're talking about now is just better than anything he puts out, like objectively.
From a production point of view.
Right, yeah. But my personal favorite Gigi Allen record is Freaks, Faggots, Junkies, and Drunks.
It's just held together with spit and duct tape, dude.
Yeah.
It's just the whole thing, lyrically and musically, is just barely held together. But it's also got some of the best songs.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you there.
I love the actual artistry behind the lyrics that I don't think people really notice or even try to care to notice, where he's talking about real things that people think, and exposing the actual horror in real life.
Yeah, pointing out the horrors of humanity.
Yeah.
And showing, like, it's almost like a horror movie, actually, now that you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's, well, what's the point of horror but to showcase the darker side of humanity and to hold up a mirror to yourself?
Yeah.
And that's what he's doing through his music, is holding up a mirror and showing you that this is how people really are.
Yeah.
Because he has been the subject of that kind of hate and ridicule that other people receive, and he's simply pointing it out. That doesn't make him better than anybody else, but there's some merit to the lyrics, and it's not just garbage.
Right.
There is some value and merit to his work, shoddy as it might be.
Yeah, you'll find some that you'll find some okay songs, you'll find some great songs, and then objectively you'll find some pretty bad songs like "Suck My Ass, It Smells." But you'll find.
Would you expect a masterpiece with a song called that?
Yeah, you'll find songs like "Bite You Scum" in particular, which I think is a really good reflection on how he felt about society itself. It's like no matter what kind of paintbrush you want to paint me with, no matter what image you have of myself, I'm still going to be myself. No matter how depraved I choose to be, it's not going to be because of what you want me to be, because it's the image you have of me.
Well said.
Yeah.
Slurping cum from my palm.
Yeah.
Definitely says a lot about society.
Yeah, it's saying that you want, like, even the depravity of that sentence is showing that that's how much they love his depravity. So here you go.
Right. And also just it hits like a freight train. Every word he says has a punch to it. And it either turns you away and you're repulsed, or you're listening.
You want me to kiss your ass? Bend over, buddy. Here comes my foot. This shows that it doesn't. He's not going to take shit from anybody, regardless if that's the shit that they want from him. You know what I mean?
Right. Though I
But,
do think you get what you give at the same time.
yeah. There's a few songs on this particular album we need to talk about. I mean, I think the best way to talk about this album is to just talk about Gigi, because there really isn't any better words to describe all these songs as better than this is a really good album. Really good, solid punk album.
It should have been way more popular.
Yeah.
And sold way better. It was unfair, to be honest with you, that this record didn't get more notoriety.
Don't Talk to Me in particular is probably my favorite song on the record, because it was the first song that I learned from ear. It's just like as soon as it played through my headphones, I was like, I know how to play this song. I don't even need to look at the tabs. I know what to do.
Right.
Which was a really big landmark in my music career.
It's also interesting that there's not a single song on here over 3 minutes.
Yeah, it shows you how actual punk rock it is.
Yeah, it's pretty punk. They don't even go over. Most of them don't scratch 2.
Right, yeah.
They're very quick. Now, the starting song is Bored to Death. Now, I can't just talk all positives about it. There's nothing wrong with the song. I want to get this out of the way. There's nothing wrong really with any of these songs, except maybe like Pussy Summit Meeting, which isn't a song.
It's more funny.
It's funny, and it sounds like an audio clip from Taxi Driver or something, to bring it back up again. It sounds like a movie sound clip. I don't know if it's from anything or not, but it definitely sounds like from a 70s like gangster movie. And there's like a bunch of prostitutes on the streets just talking with each other. But the first song, Bored to Death, I don't hate it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a good song. It's well made. All these songs are on here it's a real song, right? Unlike some of the later stuff, which is you could barely call music.
There is an album where it's just noise rock.
It's literally just noise rock. So, Bored to Death, the only reason it bothers me is because personally, I don't get bored, like, at all. Like, I can talk about anything and do anything, but like some people are just so easily disinterested and get bored with stuff. And like, as you know, as I've talked about with you about other people, like that kind of stuff really bothers me when people get disinterested so easily with stuff. And I'm like, I see what he's going with this, but it's just kind of like, I don't know, the concept of it bothers me, that he's so bored by everything.
Yeah.
That nothing is interesting.
That's why he needs a venture in his life.
Yeah, he creates all the conflict in his drama in his life so he isn't bored.
Right, yeah. I think it was a power move.
Yeah, and as he talks about in other songs, is like how it's not necessarily he gets bored with other people, it's just he doesn't want to give other people their due because they don't give him his due.
Right.
Why should I be willing to listen to you if you're unwilling to listen to me?
Yeah.
And so everything he's protesting because people don't give him the time of day. So why should he give them?
Right.
And for that, I don't dislike the song. It's just it kind of resonates with me because I don't get bored with anything, and so seeing other people get bored with me, maybe I'm a supporting guy. I don't know. Maybe that's the problem.
That's not it. I get bored sometimes at work.
But yeah, because you're sitting for 8 hours.
Yeah, so
you have to, just like Gigi, you have to go out of your way and just create stuff to do.
Yeah.
But at least you have a job, unlike Gigi.
Beat on me, bitch. Is another solid one. Really, it's just a solid punk song. There's not much to it other than a catchy chorus, like most punk songs. One Man Army is a very interesting song to me.
It's a very well as well.
This one and Automatic kind of like is showing the direction that his music's going to go in before he's already taken the drop.
Yeah, it's definitely for an album that is relatively well produced. For whatever reason, there's like a drop in quality with these ever so slightly.
Talk about more in content.
I think the sound of it too.
Yeah.
It's there.
A
It's
little
not
bit.
it's not like very severe, but there's already like a sense of what's to come.
Ass Face is just fun. It's just a fun song to listen to because it's so childish. It's such a childish, just like, oh, should call her Ass Face because asses are usually typically covered in zits. Call her Ass Face. It's just silly and childish, which just makes it more fun when you have catchy choruses. We talked about Pussy Summit. Shari Love Affairs is, I think, in my opinion, I think it's the weakest song, but it's not even that bad.
It's still good.
Yeah. Automatic is my second favorite. I'm an automatic submachine gun look ready to go.
I Need Adventure, again, playing off the core concepts of Bored to Death.
Don't talk to me.
Good, very good.
Yeah. Unpredictable is another one of like just like the calm before the storm song before like he actually gets into what Gigi Allen is known for. You know, the same concepts with Automatic and One Man Army.
It was just funny because the titles of the songs really represent, especially One Man Army and Unpredictable.
Mhm.
Those are like, yeah, that's Gigi.
Yeah. And now we get to talk about your favorite.
My favorite is 1980s rock and roll because it's just like it's the song that plays when the characters in the movie or show go back to the 80s, and they always have like the generic music that plays, some like stock 80s music that plays. This is the song that plays. Like in my head, anytime I hear it, I'm like, so this is some Doc Brown and Marty McFly shit. I just see them back in time in the 80s, and this generic ass song plays. Everyone's on fucking skateboards, and this is playing in the background. They're at a shopping mall. Back when those were things.
1980 rock and roll.
It's classic. It's classic, which is funny because this song comes in 1980. It's barely the 80s, and yet it's one of the most 80s sounding songs I've ever heard. It's like one of the best representations of what generic 80s music sounds like. It's not even punk. It's not even a punk song.
It's rock and roll.
It's just, yeah, it's 1980s rock and roll. Another fun fact, though, is I neglected to mention this. There isn't a side A or side B. If you look on Discogs, because I mean we don't have the record on hand, it's labeled as birth side and deaf side.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. I have it on CD, so I won't say it on there, but I've seen a few records.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm seeing that. That's kind of cool, birth side and deaf side. And I don't know why on deaf side it ends off with 1980s rock and roll, but interesting song choice to end off on.
Yeah. But yeah, all in all, I think people need to, when they listen to Gigi Allen, not immediately think of his stage performance and his debauchery he gets into, even though like it's very apparent that it is a very valid reason not to check him out. Like to the point where literally the local band Drive By Truckers has a song when Gigi Allen comes to town. I don't know, man. It's just one of those for me. It's like I really like this guy. He's probably my second favorite punk singer. He's a big influence on my vocals. And
That's
I just
the
think,
biggest.
huh?
Probably say the biggest.
Yeah.
influence on him.
I think people just need to not judge based on his stage performance and actually critique it as like the lyrics and everything. Actually look into the lyrics rather than just immediately see the buzzwords that he says.
You get turned off by it.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be offensive. It's supposed to be depravity.
You let him win.
Yeah,
If you get pissed off and turn it off,
that's what he wanted.
yeah, he didn't want you around anyways.
The fact that I'm a fan would piss him off.
Right.
And I love that about him. That's what I love about him.
And though he's dead, so even though he's not alive to hear any criticisms or
Praises from me.
admonishments or praises from you, yeah. Everyone deserves a fair shake, and you're furthering the problem if you're not even willing to listen to his music.
It goes for a lot of things too. If you're not willing to hear something out, regardless of how opposed you are to it, then you're letting whatever upsets you win.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. If you're not willing to just sit down and listen to the other side, then because you might be missing out on something.
Yeah.
First off, you might find did I like Gigi the first time I listened to him? No. I had to read about him. I had to understand it before I was able to say, no, I like Gigi's work. And that goes for most things. There's a lot of things I've started and I know I don't like it because I finished it.
Right.
Now, one thing we really do disagree on, though, is where Easter and where Gigi gets his name.
Guys, it's the Easter episode.
Woo,
Surprise!
Surprise! 2 hours in. This is the Easter episode.
Yeah, his name is Gigi. It's actually Jesus Christ.
Did Gigi rise on the third day? No,
I don't think he had enough to rise.
No, the only thing that rose out of Gigi was fucking bile and vomit.
But here's what I was alluding to earlier. We're going to be talking about Passion of the Christ.
You didn't say Passion of the Crust.
I fucked up my own joke. Would you look at that?
I have to remind you to make your own jokes.
God damn it. So, actually, we're going to talk about Passion of the Crust. So, it's the second Ginger Dead Man movie.
We've already talked about it. We can't do it again.
We talk about the last broadcast enough.
Because it's a running gag.
Why can't we talk about the Ginger Dead Man?
We've already run that gag into the ground.
We haven't finished the Evil Bong series, though. Then we can talk about it.
Fair enough. But we're talking about Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, today. Not the Ginger Dead Man or the Evil Bong.
Yeah.
Charles Band be damned.
He will be doing this review with a Team Jesus shirt as he's drinking straight from the rum bottle.
Oh, it was so funny that we're watching Passion of the Christ with my Team Jesus shirt. And just the image of I saw myself in a third person out of body experience kind of way. I'm like, am I really sitting here cheering on Jesus with my Team Jesus t-shirt on? I'm like, look at him go! Woo! The whole time I'm like, that's my guy right there, representing. So, as someone who is a Christian and as someone who's never seen the film, just from a film perspective, give me your thoughts.
It's a good movie. It's a good fucking movie.
You're on the edge of your seat the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I crack jokes, but I really enjoyed the film. I mean,
there's only so many jokes you can make. There's a good 30-minute lull where you hadn't said a single quip or wisecrack. And I'm like, oh fuck, he's watching the movie.
Yeah, it's actually a really solid movie. I could see where the controversy is and everything, because it's it doesn't matter that whether I believe something or not, and that goes for a lot of different kinds of things, whether it's religion or politics. I can see both sides, I can play ball with whatever. I can see that this kind of depiction of Jesus Christ would be probably not the favorite kind. You kind of want to you want to be illustrating the struggle that Jesus of Nazareth had in his life. But at the same time, it's how are you going to illustrate it any other way that wouldn't be as powerful?
It really hits.
Yeah.
When you see that level of brutality. Because I was saying this earlier is going to Sunday school. I never really went to Sunday school, but I was in Awanas and stuff, which is pretty much Boy Scouts for Christians, right?
Iguanas?
Awanas. Yeah. So going there and seeing the rainbows and the depictions of Noah's Ark and everything, I'm like, the entire fucking world died.
Yeah.
It's and it's just a kid's mural on the wall. The Bible is some of the most violent, brutal depictions in all of history. Just as from a narrative point of view.
World's flooding, civilization collapsing, and fathers killing their sons in the name of the Lord.
He didn't do it. God stopped him.
Yeah. But the intent was there.
The intent was there. Yeah, but it's one of those where it's this juxtaposition between how most people want to engage with it and talk about it, but the reality of it is fucking insane. A woman got turned into a pillar of salt, Slug. A pillar of salt.
It's my weakness.
Salt? Or God?
My name is Slug.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a joke. It's a pun. We
Fuck,
don't do many
dude.
puns.
I'm sorry. I want to talk about Christ. This isn't a time for
Well,
jokes.
Christ. All right, man.
Fuck, man. Jesus, fuck. God. Listen.
Whoa, buddy.
Listen. All right. It's a great movie, but more than anything, I think it's one of the best depictions of Christ. I love the guy that plays him. Now the behind the scenes on it's very interesting. Are you aware of like the cursed nature of the movie?
A little bit, yeah.
He was struck by lightning 3 times
During the filming?
during the filming of this movie. He was struck by lightning thrice
Wow.
while on the cross. He was struck and lived. It's as weird as like the behind the scenes on The Omen or The Exorcist. I can't tell if it's like one of those coincidental things where because of the subject matter, we look at that stuff and like, there's got to be something going on there. But the guy was struck by lightning 3 times.
Yeah.
So, make it out.
I didn't know that.
It's cool. And just like with Gigi, some of the supplementary like behind the scenes stuff enhances the experience. Because like as someone who believes in that stuff, it's like getting struck by lightning once is weird, but 3 times and 3 already being like the magic number.
Right.
But as someone who's just looking at, let's say, from a historical lens,
My only problem is the end of the movie.
of course, I knew the second he was in the tomb, like this is where you and me are gonna split ways.
Easter morning, man. That's not, in my opinion, that's not what happened.
This is where we go our separate ways. But it's funny because like me, you and Will are all staying in the room, and like I'm of the opinion, not just so I think this is real, not just so I think this is real, and this is all how it happened. You're like, no, I agree that this happened. I just don't think he was who he said he was. And then Willow's over there like, bro, Jesus wasn't real, dude. Not just so I don't think he rose again. I don't think he was born. But like from a historical lens, the movie it hits all the major points. It goes to the Bible story, but the movie is formatted as if you already know the story of Jesus. It's not teaching you the story of Jesus. It's telling you about the final 12 hours of his life.
Yeah, it's a pretty brutal 12 hours left. And it's one of those things that, as somebody who's approaching it from a historical point of view and also viewing him as just a man, it's kind of less believable.
How much pain and suffering he endures.
Yeah, how much actual like torture is done to him. 30 whippings with sticks, and then 30 lashings, and then he has to carry a giant cross through town.
While he's still being whipped and pummeled with rocks and spit on.
Yeah,
and the crown of thorns.
It's a little less believable, but I have to throw some kind of disbelief to not be a stick in the mud, because it is a really good movie. I think that
this Jesus movie stretches believability.
Well, yeah, when you put it like that, yeah. But all in all, I really enjoyed the movie. Whether or not I agree with the ending is irrelevant, because that's the best part about the concept of Jesus. It's like Jesus of Nazareth was real. It's up to you if you think he was the Son of God.
And he was of the same mind. He wanted you to make up your own mind. And it's like, don't believe things just because people say it. Which is funny, because 2,000 years later, and he hasn't returned yet. And it's like, all we have is what people are saying. But I love that concept, though, of don't believe something just because I'm telling you. Come witness the miracles for yourself, and then make up your own mind. I think is really cool. It's like, at the end of the day, it's weird how often I say this on the podcast, that, yeah, I'm a Christian, but at the same time, it's like, even if I knew definitively, 100%, that he was not the Son of God, that he was not who he said he was, I'd still follow him, because at the end of the day, he was a good man, and he believed that he was saving humanity, that he was taking people's sins away and died for it. Knew he was going to die for it and did it anyways. To me, that's someone worth following regardless.
The character and the story of the real person of Jesus of Nazareth is a very good one. I definitely think that is a very fair observation, and I think that shows how honest of a person he was.
Right.
And whether or not you believe it or not, I acknowledge the fact that Jesus of Nazareth was a really good person. Whether or not I believe he was who he said he was is not the point, nor is it anybody's business.
No, but it's important to note where you're coming from with this movie.
Right, yeah.
Because it shows how good of a movie it is.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, as somebody whose only interest in religion is from the point of view of entertainment, which I think is a very maybe rude way to say it, but
Heaven's Gate provided a lot of entertainment.
In the sense of how I consume media, whether it's more acceptable, quote unquote, acceptable religions like just Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, or the gods on top of Mount Olympus, or the Hindu gods, or even the Japanese gods. I all treat it equally in my head, where whether or not I believe it doesn't really matter. I like the stories that they tell, and I grab from it what I like. Just like personally, who I cared about more than anybody in that movie was Peter. That's my boy.
Because you wear the St. Peter's cross, but he's also created the Catholic Church.
So you gotta take the good with the bad, man.
Right.
I mean, he's a good guy, and that's part of the reason why I have a problem with the Catholics. They threw out his book.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
I love the story of St. Peter because Jesus told him exactly what he was going to do. And then he did it anyways. And just like knowing that he betrayed him, and he's like, I don't feel worthy of him anymore. And so when he gets crucified later on, he gets crucified upside down because he didn't feel worthy to die the same fate as his Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's just really cool.
I think everybody needs a level of humbleness to keep you level. And that's why I very admire that story and admire his character in that story. Just like in terms, if we're going to talk about more personal stuff, I really like the story of Samson in the Bible.
Very good.
Yeah, I interpret it as an identity. Don't let other people tell you how to live your life in any kind of way. Just express yourself how you want to, because the moment you change something because of somebody else, you're not yourself anymore.
Right. Just off the stories themselves. We're not talking about theology or whether you think it's true or not, because I just don't think it matters. The one thing that defines us as humans is art and storytelling. No other species has the ability to create art or tell stories. And I've told you this before. I think that's something I use as evidence for God, is simply that if we're created in His image, that's also why we're the only species that has the ability to create art and create things, period. But, going back, it's like the stories of the Bible have great moral lessons. And despite whether you believe in its factual nature,
historical accuracy,
it's still a good story. And a good story is a good story at the end of the day. It doesn't matter whether it really happened or not. Because most of our personalities and our core values and beliefs anyways stem from stories we tell each other, and we just decide what is true or not. At the end of the day, we weren't there for most of the stuff.
Right.
Most of the stuff we believe and talk about on a daily basis, we weren't there for it. We get it from third-party sources. We just choose what to believe in because it helps us define what we believe. and define our values and how we live our lives. Some people will gravitate toward religion. Some people will gravitate toward, just any passions, just to have some semblance of belonging or some semblance of purpose. And if that's what people gravitate toward to get that meaning in their life, then that's perfectly fine. But a lot of people weaponize, and I think they ruin it for other people.
Yeah.
Because they use it for their own personal gain, like the Pharisees in Passion of the Christ. Want to round it out?
We could have watched the bunny, man.
If Willow wasn't so damn scared of people in bunny costumes, what happened to her in her childhood?
I don't know, man. I don't know. She was so fine with us going to go take pictures with Santa Claus. But oh no, when we suggest we go take pictures of the Easter Bunny, she acts like me when I see a scarecrow.
The neighbors, they were putting out Easter eggs for all the kids. And did you look at me? Because I was contemplating. I had a hammer in my hand. I'm like, we saw them put those eggs out. We know where those eggs are. We can go get those eggs right now. And they come outside and tell us, no, I have a hammer.
I guess that's the rules, I guess.
What you can do about it now? We watched them put those Easter eggs out. It's like we could have gone and snatched them up, and they would have done a damn thing about it.
They do have a power move.
What is that?
They could call the police. That is a power move.
Well, that might be so until I whip out my trusty hammer. And then what are they going to do about it? Oh, well, guys, this has been our Easter Spectacular. It's been a God honest pleasure. We hope to see you back. But me and Sloy got to hop down the bunny trail. Catch you on the flip. Bye-bye.